Good evening, everybody. So I'm Margie, so I'll be giving a short teaching tonight and doing some meditations. So thanks for coming. So tonight, tonight we'll talk about some of the delusions, and we'll do some meditations, and also we'll talk about the antidote for some of the delusions. So the one I do like to pick is anger, because I think it's a very easily relatable delusion and easy to work with in our minds, because I think it's some of the other delusions like attachment and pride. Sometimes they're a bit harder to work with, but anger is a very obvious delusion. But all of the delusions aren't helping us. But in a way, with Buddhism, it can be really challenging to really understand Buddhism, because it often flips all of our normal held views around. So it sort of challenges our normally or even innate held views about life, or about our minds, and about how we think, or what's good for us, or even how we exist. So really, that's why with Buddhism you really need the teachings, and to come and listen, and to contemplate, and to meditate. So all of those aspects are required to really deepen your own understanding, because within these teachings it's the impact it has on your mind that is where the value is. Listening, you can listen, we listen and we scroll and we read newspaper articles all day and have a million emails assaulting us. So information is something we're always, filtering, and we're getting very good at that. But it doesn't mean it has an impact. So the contemplating and the meditation and connecting with the truth of it, whatever that is for you, is really the important part. And again, that's that. It has to be the truth for you. What rings true for you, and that will have an impact on your mind. That will change your mind. And that's why the Buddha said, if you don't like what I said, or you don't understand what I said, that's fine. You can just put it aside and maybe come back later, or just move on. Because it is what will really impact and change your behaviour and your mind, is what really resonates, or what you really contemplate, and what you really go deeper with. And we were talking before in here, social media is full of lots of wellness and lots of, you can get information about how to be happy or wellness from anywhere, and the ones with the hooks seem to have the million views or something like that. And the more harder ones, or the ones that require a little bit more work from ourselves, probably don't get as many. So unfortunately, this is the latter. So it does require some work. And the work really is firstly just listening, and then really contemplating, working with your own understanding, and working with what resonates and can impact your mind. So I took some verses from Shantideva. So Shantideva was an 8th century Buddhist master in India, and he wrote a very, very seminal text on bodhicitta called Bodhisattva's Way of Life, and it's a beautiful text and very, very profound. And so it's about the path that a bodhisattva would tread to enlightenment. And it is, again, it's a very challenging text, because it really turns everything we want to hear upside down, and challenges us in that way. So a couple of verses I took out. I'll just read them. There is no fault like hatred, no resilience like patience. Thus I should strive in various ways to meditate on patience. My mind will not experience peace if it fosters painful thoughts of hatred. I shall find no joy or happiness. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. So what he's telling us is that, anger is the cause of our happiness, our anger and hatred. Hatred comes from anger. And that patience is the cause of our happiness. And again, that's not something we generally or easily hold to be true. That is something that needs to be examined. Often we believe anger is just an emotion, and it's just, that's just what it is. I mean, I guess on the lesser side, we might just think it's an emotion, or we might think anger's not the problem, it's what's happening to us that causes the anger is the problem. So often we externalise anger and then we justify it. Or we might think that anger is a very useful emotion because it motivates us. So these are kind of this is how we commonly feel about anger and about a lot of our emotions, actually. Where Shantideva is saying that it's the cause of our unhappiness and that patience is the cause of our joy. So, as I said before, this is really how we have to learn to analyse and try and understand what is he saying. So he said something, so how is that true? And is that true for me, personally? Am I going to accept that? So the analytical type of contemplating and then meditating in Buddhism is really what develops our wisdom. It's, our intelligence. And so with Buddhism, to gain realizations and for the teachings to really go deep, you really have to have the two aspects. You need to have a very discerning mind, a type of intellect that can discern, and a type of wisdom that can really look, and then you need concentration. So the intellect kind of cuts through. It cuts in deep into to the core of what's going on in the mind, and the concentration will hold the mind still. So without concentration, our mind moves around. So we can't really focus on an object unless we have concentration, and we can't really go deep in our understanding about a subject unless we have a wisdom, a very discerning type of intellect. And so those two really work together. And that's really the type of analytical meditation coming in with concentration. So concentration alone, which is where mindfulness comes in, that doesn't really get you anywhere, because all it is it's a very powerful mind. Concentration is like, the sun going in a magnet, and it gets that ray, that beam that can burn through the paper. That's what concentration does. It creates a laser kind of strong mind. Or they say like a river, like if you have a river that's across a delta that's running all over, it's not powerful. It will trickle and run slowly. But if you get a river in a canyon, it's strong and powerful. So you want your mind. So concentration is really about the power of the mind, making the mind come together to a point. And wisdom is the ability then for that mind to cut through and to really go deeper in your understanding of a subject. And so those two things is what meditation is doing. That's your aim of meditation. And so then you can use your meditation to examine your delusions and then decrease them, because that's the object. First you have to realise they're causing you a problem. Then you have to learn, how can I decrease them, if you agree that they're causing you a problem. And so you use your intellect, your wisdom and your concentration to come to a deeper understanding, and then that will have more, because it's gone quite deep, it will have much more impact on your mind and then on your behaviour. Also then we can use meditation, as we've done over these last month, to increase love and compassion. And then again, the deeper you can go with concentration and that's a concentration mind on love and compassion. the more powerful that would be. And then same with all the other Buddhist paths. And then we get those benefits of having a more subdued mind, a more powerful mind, a more compassionate mind, and a more loving mind. So we'll go back to our assertion by Shantideva, or Shantideva told us that anger and hatred are the cause of our suffering. So our delusions arise in our mind, and as I said, we usually have this idea that anger is just an emotion, or it's a useful emotion, or it's a justified emotion. And so we have to examine, is that true or not? So the mind of anger, when anger arises, from a Buddhist perspective, it would say when the mind of anger arises, it's a very exaggerated state of mind. So anger is the mind that it arises on this notion of I do not want, and I don't want to experience that. I want to get away from that. So it's this notion that something's happening and the mind reacts by saying it's an aversion. I want to push that thing away. So it's happening to me, and I want to distance myself from that mind, or that person, that thing or that person, that object out there. But it does so when the delusions arise in our mind. They arise in a very exaggerated state. And so that is primarily why anger itself is not good for us, because they colour the mind. They colour the mind, and then from that state of perception that's false, we then act out. And so we start to act out in ways that isn't really that concordant with reality, and then it has an impact. And that's because the anger, when it takes over our mind, if we say anger is just an emotion, it's fine, it's not, it's just an emotion that I have and it's justified. We can say that and believe that, but by examining the mental state or the mind state of anger when it arises through meditation, you might begin to see how it actually what it is doing to your mind. And then how, from that point of view, how it's affecting your mind, how you then act or say, what you then act and say. And then you can see what the impact is. And then that way you can then discern for yourself, is in fact anger just an emotion that's justified or not? It's harmless, or that it's just how things are? Or is anger a mental state that can really take over my mind, turn my mind into this irrational state, and then through that irrational state that's from my mind, I then act out in a way that's harmful? So, so Buddhism would say no amount of anger is, or all anger, even small anger, is harmful. It's just a harmful state of mind. So there's no good anger, let's put it that way. That all states of anger are harmful, but in degrees. So there's little to big angers, as we know. So. And that's what, I guess, the understanding you have to start to work with. That's the idea of the analysis and trying to understand that premise that Buddhism is putting forward there. And we'll do a bit of an analytical meditation on this so we can try and work with that premise. So again, because anger comes from this place of I don't want whatever, I don't want this, or I don't want this to happen to me, or so it is, again, it's involving that very strong self-grasping ego mind that again isn't quite concordant with reality, because at that point that ego is sort of is really strong in the mind, And it's really holding on to something that it doesn't want. And then from that point of view, it will exaggerate the object, and then it will act out towards an object or a person in a way that then is causing harm. So, so basically, I mean, we can. I think maybe we'll do the meditation now. We'll do the meditation now because I think it's worth that we have to try and understand that point of view. I think we'll do it now. We'll just work with that a little bit and try and in our own minds. I'll just step you through an analytical meditation. So in this meditation, we'll recall a time when you were angry with someone and then work with that, what was going on, examine that. So as you know, if you experience anger, it can flash up in the mind really quickly, and it can arise in the mind, and then when your mind is coloured by anger, it's very hard, it will overtake your mind. You have very little control. You snap, or you act, or you say, or you do, or you're just in your head, but anger it consumes the mind. And that is something else we have to try and see. Is that true? What is happening there? How is this? How have I lost control of my mind? So we say when strong delusion arises in the mind, we actually lose control of our mind. That delusion is controlling me. You know, normally when we have a little bit of anger, we might be able to say, chill pill, I'm thinking it, but I'm not going to say it. You know, we have a bit of control. But when strong delusion arises, we can completely lose control. Or we might not act to that person, but we might go and gossip or cause problems, or we might act in a way as we motivated to do or say things that are hurtful or harmful. So we have to be able to see that that's the delusion within our mind, and that at that point we may have lost control, or we can't actually see. We can't take that responsibility for seeing that that's how my mind is working. So we just believe that that's just how things are. So the idea of analytical meditation is to really gain some insight into how your mind's functioning, and then in order to gain some control. So what we're trying to do is lessen the anger in our mind, and so when we feel or see it rising, we can say, that's anger or jealousy or pride or whatever that is. You know, I'm just going to create a bit of space in my mind, even just seeing it, and then you can create a bit of space. I know if that gets out of hand, I lose control. And really that's what's happening within our minds. These emotions, if unchecked, will take over and then dictate to us. And that is the cause of unhappiness, not having that control of your mind or insight of your own mind. Okay. So I might do this in 2 parts. Yeah. So let's just sit in a bit of a meditation posture. Just make sure your back is straight. And take some deep breaths. Try and take away all thoughts from the day. And we'll try and analyse our minds and our experience of our minds. So recall a time when you got angry with someone, and when you then acted out on that anger. It can be a little thing with a loved one, a tiff or something, or an annoyance that got the better of you. It could be a fight or anything. Now recall at that time when you were angry, at the very situation that you're thinking of, how that person appeared to you and how the thing that triggered your anger appeared to you. And try and examine if you can feel a very strong sort of ego grasping of from very strong self-centered sort of point of view. And then recall how you felt about that person at that time, exactly at that time. And how did that person appear to you? Did they appear quite negative with lots of different negative traits? And how did you then act towards this person, or what thoughts did you generate towards this person? So now try and see if you can see from how you normally see that person when you're not angry with them to when you were angry with them. Did you see different aspects of that person? Did you think differently about that person? Did you act towards them differently when your mind was triggered by anger than you would normally? Can you reflect and see if you had some harmful thoughts or quite negative thoughts about that person at that time? So try and come to, if you can, come to the conclusion of seeing how that anger arose in your mind based on something you weren't happy with or didn't want, and that a person that you may have known for a long time, under that influence, seemed different. The relationship, your mind, the way your mind perceived that person was different while influenced by anger. And if you can see that, and see if you can draw the conclusion that, yes, when the delusions arise in my mind, the delusions impact my perception and colour my thinking, my actions, and can cause me to act in ways that I regret or can see that are harmful. And then come to the conclusion, based on that knowledge, I want to take action to lessen those delusions in my mind, have more control over my mind, to not allow the emotions to overrule me, to overcome me. And that's 100% possible. Okay, so that was just a short analysis there. Now, from a Buddhist perspective, all of the delusions arise in our mind based on our self-cherishing, self-grasping mind. And as I said, they arise and then they'll colour our perceptions, and then we act towards the object, depending on if it's a love or if it's anger or whatever. So what we can do to analyse our mind and understand, and then we've got a bit of ability to control that delusion. But how the Buddhists train is that every delusion has its antidote. So the mind will arise, each thought or each moment at a time, and each moment can only have one aspect. So if it's anger, your mind's coloured by anger. So if the anger mind's arising and you keep feeding angry mind, yes, that thing is really terrible, and you keep feeding it, keep reinforcing that belief, then your mind will continue to grow in anger. And then that becomes a habituated state. So we grow our angry mind by engaging in analysis of how justified or how bad that thing is. So we are perpetuating our own mental states in that way. So from that point of view, that's how our mind operates. Our mind will habituate to a thought and to an action, follows a thought, but to a thought or coloured by a delusion, by the more we use that or work on that. So what we want to do also is then we have an antidote to that. So for every negative emotional state or delusional state, there's an opposite to that. So if you apply the antidote, it will then reduce that mental state. So for anger, that's patience. So anger, I don't know how you felt in your meditation, but anger can have a really lot of emotion. It's a very strong emotional state, and it can really force us to act. We can really lose control. And I think that's why anger is good to work with at the beginning, because it is such a powerful state and it can come on pretty quickly. So it is a good one to analyse, because it's got that power or that energy behind it, and it's easy to then recall. So anger is a good mental state to work with afterwards. We don't want to generate it. But patience is the mind that opposes it. So when we think of anger with this energy and this sort of force, patience really is the mind of staying undisturbed. So when your mind wants to really get that energy to rile up and to really stick to the object and to really focus on that object and to really push it away, patience is the mind that really just steps back and doesn't engage. It does the opposite. So it doesn't engage that object. Because anger really comes from the engagement with the object. If you don't engage the object, you can't generate the anger towards the object. So the patience is what takes you away from the object. So really what you want to do when something makes you angry is to remove your mind thinking about that object, is to not engage. So it is just to be really calm and to be really just not responsive to the object. And that is the antidote to anger. So which again, it sounds quite hard to do, and that takes practice, but that's really how you stop the angry mind from happening, is just to remember to say, the angry mind is focused on an external object, or on you can beat yourself up too as well. So whatever that mental energy is going towards, because there's always a big story with anger, there's always a backstory, there's always how it harmed me, and you can always build up and justify, and then every action that person ever does, whether you know it or not, is really feeding your story of anger. If you think about how when you're angry with someone, it's not just one thing, it's everything that person might do then feeds into your idea of you. So it's very mental. We're building up our picture of people, we're building up our picture of a situation. And if you, again, sit back and analyse, how much of it actually happens and how much is it coloured by my mind and then projecting that out. So patience really is that mind that just disengages that. Notice that that's the cycle of anger that I'm generating within my mind, unhappy state. One way I can stop this is just to have a patient mind, to not buy into that mind. So, and that's when you do your meditation again, we can go back into the meditation, and then we can look at, you can imagine that whole scene, that whole particular scene. If you've had an angry experience, you can imagine it, and then if you did act out, that's fine, but then you can imagine if your mind, reimagine it with a patient mind, with a mind that didn't react, with a mind that didn't buy into it. And then you can see what might have happened. So if you don't engage with the object that's making you angry at all, if you don't engage at all, what will happen? You know, they might say something to you, you might something bad still might happen to you, but the actual anger and all of the build-up around that situation will just dissipate. And that's the sort of, that makes your life a lot more easier and you're a lot more happier. And Shantideva says it very well, I think, as well. He said, "Where would I possibly find enough leather with which to cover the surface of the earth? Yet wearing leather on just the soles of my feet is the equivalent to covering the earth with it." So if we think about all of the things that could get us angry or annoyed or make us lose control out in the world, you know, there's so much we can't control, but we can begin to control our minds. So it's like we can't cover the earth with leather so that every person treats us in a way we'd like to be treated, or every situation's going to be totally attuned to my happiness. You know, there's no way we can do that. We can't live in a world of 9 billion people and think that everything that happens that those 9 billion people do is going to perfectly make me happy. So, but Shantideva's analogy is like by putting leather on the soles of your feet, you can walk around. All the hot earth and the prickles and the glass and all of that won't disturb your feet. So that's like by training our mind for the delusions to take over. Then it's the equivalent of putting leather on the soles of our feet. We can then walk on the earth or walk amongst every life without being reacting. Our mind's not reacting and overbearing the situation, adding to the drama, perceiving, and then from that we project out, we perceive things. And if you can see how your mind even a little bit colours the situation when our delusions are high, and that's what we're trying to do, put the leather on the soles of our feet, or let our mind be able to put a state of not engaging, not letting the delusions take over. So we'll just go back into our meditation, and we recalled the angry scene we had previously. Now that we can get to a point where we can analyse our own mind, recalling that angry scene. It might have ended up in a bigger fight or not talking or having to apologise, eat humble pie or whatever. But go back in your mind to before you reacted. When you felt triggered, and it could be totally justified, could have been harmful, hurtful thing that happened, and you could have been justified in your anger. That's again a normal, as we said, it's a very normal response. It's all very normal. But this time imagine, instead of reacting, when you felt yourself reacting, you were able to just turn your mind to being completely calm. So your patience, that non-response, patience is a mind of not retaliating, not responding, just remaining calm. You can see the situation, you can understand the situation. You can see that it might be unfair or hurtful. But instead of having an emotional response that took over and made you act out or made you see things in a way that might have been exaggerated, this time be able to just not respond. And then see what would have, imagine now what would have happened. Would have the outcome been different? Would the outcome have been more pleasant for yourself and for the other person? And you may still choose not to distance yourself from that person. That's normal, and it may be a good choice. Or it might be a loved one, and then did you save yourself some drama? So again, analyze and think and reflect on how the delusions do arise within my mind, and how that they arise based on an external trigger, an object, person. And it may be something that I want, or something I didn't get, something I don't like. And just reflect on how, when the delusions are out of control, how my mind is out of control. And at how they can have an impact on how I perceive the world at that time. Okay, you can come out of that meditation. Now, did anyone have any questions about that? Any comments? Or did it work for people? Were people able to go into that analysis? Yeah, anger I think is a good one to reflect on. And again, all of it, our mind works in that way with all of our delusions. So it's very powerful. Okay, so I thought tonight we could do 2 other meditations. I want to finish with the Guru Buddha meditation, because I've been doing that for the last 5 weeks now, and I think it's a lovely way to end. But I also thought I'd do the 9-round breathing meditation, which I sometimes do, and I think it's also another beautiful meditation. And this is a concentration type meditation. And it can, if we want to meditate on a more single-pointed meditation to help with the concentration, like I said before, you need analysis and you need concentration. So you have to develop both. The 9-round breathing meditation is a nice meditation, especially if you've got a lot of thoughts and a lot of energy in your mind. It's a way to focus your mind, not just on the breath, but also on the channels, some of the channels which the breath moves through. So it can just give us a little bit more to focus on, but and it's got a nice little visualization that goes with it. So again, I'll lead you through this meditation, but I will just explain it a little bit, and then we'll go into the Guru Buddha meditation straight from that. We'll have a little break, a minute or just to wiggle around, but I'll basically go right through. In this meditation, so we visualize in this meditation, so these are this one and the next one, we're using visualization, not analysis. Again, so different types of meditation, analytical or visualizations, or just single point on a breath. But this one is we're doing single point on our channels and breath, and the Guru Buddha one is also a single point meditation, but also we can develop love and compassion through that meditation. So there's lots of different meditations that have lots of different aims and objectives. So in this one we imagine inside we have a channel that runs from top of between your eyebrows and goes around the top of your head, and it runs down your spine, just in front of your spine, and ends full width below your belly button. And then from your right and left nostrils, you have 2 more thinner channels, like they say that the thinners are like a bit of wheat, and that run down and that they join in to the central channel at the bottom. At the bottom. And so your right energy channel is red, and the left energy channel is white, and the central one is also white. I think it might run it. And so when you breathe, like I said, I'll guide the meditation, but that's probably mainly what you need to know now, I think. Yeah. So I'll guide through the breaths, and then we can do that meditation. So, and this is, like I said, a good one to do if you've got lots of thoughts in your head, but you just really want to calm the mind and sort of train the mind a little bit in concentration, but it's too active. You find you've got a very active mind. So we'll go into the meditation. So visualize your central energy channel as parallel to and slightly in front of your spine. It's hollow and the thickness of a medium bamboo. It's white on the outside and red on the inside. The upper part, like an umbrella handle, curves over the crown of your head and ends between your eyebrows. And its lower end is 4 widths below your navel. Visualize your right energy channel as red in colour, the thickness of a stalk of wheat, starting 6 finger width below your navel and running close to the central channel and ending at your right nostril. So it curves around your head and ends at your right nostril. And your left energy channel is white in colour and is the same thickness as the right one, but ends at your left nostril. So we're going to do 3 rounds of breathing. 3 through the right, out of the left, and 3 from the left out of the right, and then 3 from into both and out of both. So now breathe in through your right nostril. Just imagine breath is just coming in through your right nostril. And as you breathe in, white cleaning rays of light are passing down through your nostril, down your right energy channel, and accumulating in your left energy channel. And as you breathe out through your left nostril, you're clearing out the left energy channel. And light enters like black smoke enters out of your left nostril. So again, 3 rounds of breathing in through your right. White light comes through your right energy channel. And at the bottom it connects to the left energy channel. And as you breathe out, black smoke is forced out. Now breathe in 3 from your left nostril. And again, you breathe white light passing down your left channel, accumulating in the right, and all defilements of fear and anger and repulsion that's blocked in that channel get pushed out in the forms of black smoke as you breathe out. Do 3 rounds. And then you breathe in through both nostrils, and white light passes through both of the left and right energy channels, accumulating in the central channel, so those 2 channels now join into the central channel. And then, as you breathe out, black smoke, which is clearing all the defilements of ignorance, out through both nostrils. Again, breathe in through both nostrils. Breathe out. And at the end, feel that the 3 energy channels are completely clear, completely transparent and clear. So have a little break. So now imagine you are surrounded, sitting in the center and surrounded by all sentient beings. To your immediate left and right are all the people you love and know. And then surrounding you are all people you don't know, but maybe your neighbours, maybe people in your neighbourhood and town, city, country, and all the country across the world, even all the animals and insects, like in the form of humans, so far as you can imagine, all people surrounding you. Now imagine above the crown of your head is Buddha Shakyamuni. He's seated there on a lotus throne, which also has a sun and moon cushion, which symbolize the three principal realizations of the path to enlightenment, which is renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness. Buddha is golden in color. His body is filled with light that radiates out in all directions. His hair is black, which has a top knot, and he has a beautiful face with eyes which are half open and gazing out. And he is able to perceive all beings at once. He is seated in the full lotus posture, and he is wearing saffron-coloured robes. His left hand is touching the ground with his right hand, and his right hand is in the gesture of meditative concentration and holds a begging bowl in his lap. The begging bowl is filled with the three types of nectar of immortality, of medicine, and the nectar of uncontaminated transcendental wisdom. Guru Buddha is very beautiful and smiles serenely from his compassionate gaze towards you and all other living beings. Feel his presence. Remember his perfect qualities and his willingness to help you. Request Guru Buddha to help you become free of all negative energies, ignorance and problems, and to receive all the realizations of the path to enlightenment. Guru Buddha accepts your request. So visualize that rays of light stream down from Guru Buddha's heart, entering through your crown, through that channel we just imagined, and completely filling your body, purifying you and all sentient beings of all negativities, and bestowing all blessings and realizations. Now imagine Guru Buddha dissolves into light, enters through the crown of your head and descending to your heart. And your body, speech and mind become inseparable with the holy body, speech and mind of Guru Buddha. Now at your heart, seated on a lotus moon disc, is a blue syllable hum. You can imagine H-U-M, surrounded by the Buddha mantra. Light rays radiate out brilliantly in all directions from the hum and mantra rosary, reaching all sentient beings and purifying them completely of all negativities and obscurations. All sentient beings are transformed into the blissful, enlightened state of Buddhahood. Now imagine that all those light rays dissolve back into you. And you transform into the state of emptiness. The state where you, self, and all phenomena lack inherent existence. Then from this emptiness you arise once again in the aspect of Guru Buddha. And feeling great joy in your heart, rejoice that you have fulfilled the ultimate purpose of yourself and all sentient beings. So we dedicate. May the merits accumulated through engaging in this meditation become a cause to quickly attain the ultimate state of a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay. And come out of your meditation. Did a lot of work tonight. Anyone have any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you everybody for your time and coming along. Next month is Jeremy. So Jeremy's been a teacher here for many years, and he's a beautiful teacher. So you'll enjoy. And thank you. And there's tea and cake if you want in the dining room. Please stay.